My upper ball joint, the boot, as you can see, is torn. The ball joint itself is stiff, so it's a good ball joint. Just torn boot, and the doggone grease is coming out of it. So before the ball joint itself gets dry, I'm gonna try to replace the boot. I took some measurements off of it, and I went to Napa, and they have like a universal boot that should fit this size. So I'm gonna fill it with grease, stick it on there, and see if it works. If it works, I'll give you the part number and all that good stuff so that you can repair the rubber boot without having to replace the entire ball joint. The grease and that I could get to, and any contaminants, and I had to use a razor blade to cut the old boot off because it's like glued on there, and those are the pieces right there. And this is the replacement boot that I got from Napa, and it slides on there, and we'll fill it with some grease and see what we got. What we do is we push the rubber boot on there, then we fill it with grease, similar to how you would fill a cup. Just fill it up with some grease and push it all the way up, and then when you put the knuckle back on, the hub back on, it should like wedge it between the knuckle and the upper ball joint itself. Alright, let's see how it goes. The replacement boot is installed, and I really wanted to clean off all the old boot and glue it like the original one was to the ball joint. But I'll tell you this, with the nut in, it's pushed up against it so firmly, with so much pressure, it's not going anywhere. And the good thing is, because the top is open, you could wedge it down with a screwdriver and fill it with more grease if you needed to later on down the road. But that looks really good. And again, it's filled with grease. A new ball joint boot, and it works. It looks like it'll do the job. Just for your reference, I got it from Napa, and that's the part number right there, 650-1175. That's the upper ball joint. My truck is a 05 Armada. Of course, it'll work with the Titans. And if your upper ball joint is still nice and firm, nice and solid, but the boot is torn, you just put a new boot on it. Alright, good luck with yours if you need it. The girl replaced the upper ball joint rubber boot with a universal one from Napa, and it worked great. It's holding the grease, the ball joint was good, the boot was just torn, so I replaced it. It worked good. While doing that on both sides, I noticed that my tie rod ends were torn. So the same boot that fit the ball joint fits the tie rod end. So I cut off the old one, cleaned it up real good, repacked it with grease, and put the universal boot on. Worked good. And now I'm about to replace the cotter pins. Alright, so again, the part number that I used here and here is 650-1175. Alright.